Hello and welcome to the KML Weekly Preview. I'm Mike Morano and I'm here to break down all the Week 2 games, talk about what happened in Week 1, talk about what's going to happen in this week, basically give you all the stuff you need to know, some of the stuff you don't need to know, but the stuff you're going to want to know in the end. So, let's get right into it. The first game I'm going to talk about is She Duked on Mike Johnson, a great team name. It's an early favorite for the name of the year. Going up against the J-Rod the Bod Limbach. Joel comes off a big Week 1 win, silenced a lot of haters, took being in the Keg Watch game really to heart. Came out and had a really strong performance, got good weeks out of a bunch of his guys, so he was happy about that. Jared, he lost again, big surprise. This has become an annual tradition for his team. He's looking to right the ship. Who knows if he will? Who even knows who's going to be on his team tomorrow? It changes from day to day. The line on this one right now is actually, surprisingly, J-Rod's favored by 3. Vegas might be a little tipsy on that one, getting a lot of money on the J-Rod side. The all-time record, Stein leads 2-0, so J-Rod's looking for that first win. Part of the problem here for J-Rod's team is he runs his fucking team like it's goddamn DraftKings. I mean, this isn't daily fantasy. You gotta put together a team, get some chemistry going, carry that through the end of the season. He doesn't even know what chemistry means. He's definitely taking the title for the sluttiest team in the league, living up to that Limbach gene. This doesn't bode well for Finley. There's some question about she's going to spend more time at HSE or in Planned Parenthood, but we'll get to that in a couple of years. For Joel's team, he's right in the back of Andrew Luck, had a great week. Doesn't look so good going into Week 2 for him necessarily. Denver's got a good defense. He really one Von Miller sack away from an Andrew Luck torn ACL, and the Colts going 2-14, and Joel's team being back in the Keg Watch next week. So we'll see what happens on that one. When picking this game, I'm trying to think about who has the best chance, and what the factors are going to be, what's going to play into this. It's going to be a good, hard-fought game. I'm calling this one the Battle for Moto, because it's basically like Joel's the old friend that's been with Moto for a long time. He's comfortable with him. He knows the ins and outs. Jared, I don't know. Jared's the new one. He does crazy stuff with his tongue. Moto kind of likes it. So, this is the one's the battle for Moto. I think for the battle for Moto, I'm gonna go for Joel though. I think Joel pulls out a second win, mainly because there's so much uncertainty around the J-Rod team. Nobody knows what it's gonna look like come Sunday, come Thursday, come Monday night. So, I know Moto likes all the comes in that last sentence. So I think that's what we'll go with. I'm locking it in. Joel takes the win. Next game I want to talk about is This Is My White Mare versus the SCLSU Mud Dogs. Now, this should be a pretty good matchup. It's 2 unbeaten teams going into Week 2. Last week, Rob essentially had a bye because he played Jared. We all know how that usually works out for everybody. And on the other hand, I want to talk about this for a second because it deserves some mentioning. Turo beat Vitaly again for his 7th win in a row. He's now 7-0 against Vitaly. He fucked Vitaly's team inside out so hard, Vitaly had to change the fucking team name. It's a different team now. Just totally rebranded the whole thing, trying to get a fresh coat of paint on that pig. I think it's an early favorite for Keg Watch. We're just going to throw that out there now. However, back to this game. Rob leads the all-time series 2-1. This game, actually, Rob is favored by 5 points, too. It's going to be awfully hard for Turo to find a win here. It's almost as hard as Turo looking for pants that fit those tree trunks legs of his. I mean, he's got to be in the fucking big and tall looking for something to fit those things. Rob, on the other hand, is over at his work spending my government money as a park ranger. It's fucking crazy. In this matchup right here, between Park Ranger Jones and friggin' Turo, I think Turo's going to try like hell to make C.J. Anderson's head bleed. But in the end, C.J. Anderson's going to prove too much, and I think Turo comes away with the victory to move to 2-0 on this one. Our next matchup that we're going to look over is the other battle of the unbeatens. That would be Reading Dwayne Bowe at 1-0 versus the K-Bow Ghost at 1-0. Both teams had great wins last week. Rogers, he got his win over Moto, basically on the back of Drew Brees and some dude that's back up to Jamal Charles and be irrelevant in like a week or two, who knows. Maine, he pulled out a very, very lucky victory thanks to Antonio Brown's magical twerking. I hope he does that every week. That was very exciting to see. The all-time record in this one, Maine leads 3-1. And he's currently favored by 11 points in this one. So he comes in as the heavy favorite. Vegas doesn't seem as swayed, though. The line tends to be a little bit closer than that. Rogers, we got to talk about for a second, because the reader hasn't been living up to his nickname whatsoever. He has not been reading the chirp. He is far behind on messages and I can guarantee he's only reading like maybe 20-30% of what comes through. I'm not happy about it. I talked to him about it in the locker room the other day. He told me that it was due to his new workplace policy that banned internet. And I said, all I can imagine, he's stuck in 2002 technology with Rob Luck, can't figure out a way to get on the internet, can't figure out a way to check Messenger once in a while during work. It's putting a damper on his nickname. He might have to give it up here if this continues. You know, in this matchup, Maine, I think, is going to take the win here. He feels pretty good about it. He's riding some good vibes because he fully pooped his cheeks in front of Hannah on Saturday. She didn't break up with him, so he's riding a wave of good vibes right now. Feels like he can't be beat. I got Maine winning this one. You know, we'll see how it works out. The next game I want to talk about in this week 2 of the KML is going to be the Revenge of the Scurv versus Chalupa Batman. Now, you know, Minot in this one is, he played well last week. He rocketed back up to #1 on the leaderboard. Bill had a tough loss, but still his team played pretty well. The all-time series in this one, Minot leads 2-1. And right now the line is a little bit to be determined. Bill's trying to lock down some wide receivers, but it looks like it's going to be right around even there. It should be a really good matchup this week. Minot's team, he carried in a lot of good momentum from last year. The champ continues right where he left off, rocketing back up to the top of the leaderboard, having the best week in the league. You know, he also continues alienating every friend over that he's had for more than 2 years, but, you know, that's totally fine by most people. You know, Bill, on the other hand, he took that tough loss. He's feeling really down in the dumps. You know, but I heard through the grapevine when I talked to the assistant coach of Chalupa Batman, he really felt a lot better after he took a couple laps on his pony Gus Gus that he bought himself. You know, so I'm happy he got that out of the way. As for the matchup here, you know, it's more of the same for mine. He's got right now. He's got no Charles, he's got no Bell, and it's no problem. He just continues to roll. His team looks good on the back of D'Angelo Williams. You know, for Bill, he's figuring out his wide receivers, you know, and if I have to pick this game, you know, I think I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna pick the Chalupa Batman, which would push the all-time record to 2-2. That's a winning percentage of 500. Coincidentally, that's the same winning percentage of every diet Bill's ever tried. So in this one, I'm taking Chalupa Batman. And now, one of the games we've all been waiting for. It's time for me to call my KML Keg Watch Game of the Week. Of course, I think we all know who it is. It couldn't have been easier this week. It's Blaze's Hope Chest at 0-1, taking on the Vitaly's Squad at 0-1 as well. Now, this game, you know, these two teams, it's just tough to look at. Honestly, it's tough. It really is. You know, Vitaly's making a little bit of a move. He's probably going to be favored in this one by a little bit. The all-time series favors Vitaly 3-0. Scott's never beaten Vitaly, but this might honestly be the year because Vitaly's squad looks like dog shit. I mean, it looks terrible. Posted the least amount of points in the league last week. His team's in disarray. Gurley looks like hell. That whole LA team, I wouldn't touch anybody on it with a 10-foot pole. It looks awful. He's got some work to do in this one. You know, going back to last week, Vitaly got the brakes beat off that pushy again by Turo. It's becoming a biannual transition. Happens twice a year. 7-0, never beat him. New name change. Let's see if it has any effect on it. You know, Scott actually had kind of a tough loss. His team did well for a change. Had a tough loss, but this just goes to prove Scott can't have nice things in life, in fantasy, or in anything else. Everything always goes to shit, but we wish him the best. We really do. You know, when it comes to this matchup, I had a real tough time picking this game. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I really do, especially with Vitaly making a move. That could help him out. You know, in the end, though, I think I'm going to take Blaze's Hope Chest to beat Vitaly. I just don't like what I see from Vitaly's team. I think he's firmly entrenched in Keg Watch. May be there again next week unless he really shows me something this week. And I'm taking Scott to win this one. And now, the game that we've been waiting to talk about, the KML Game of the Week. I think we all know who these two teams are. I want to say up front, this could be the first time, the last time, and the only time that it features two teams that don't have a win. That, of course, is the Buddy Van Doodles at 0-1 going up against the Bubblegum by the Bum at 0-1 as well. That is a great fantasy name. It makes me feel horny. It makes me feel sick. I don't know how to feel about it, but it's still a great fantasy name. I feel like it hits all the emotions. Back to the two teams. Moto is favored this matchup by about 3 points. You know, he leads the all-time series 1-0, not a big margin, but still was surprising. He beat that juggernaut of a team Wingus was fielding last year. Both teams coming off losses. Of course, Wingus couldn't get it done against the defending champ. Moto couldn't get it done against Rogers. You know, when it comes to these two teams, I look at the Buddy Van Doodles team, and I just don't like what I see. I mean, it's trending in the wrong direction. I mean, it's just like the Vikings. It's just like Wells Fargo, and I'm going to put the Buddy Van Doodles in the same category as those other two. Every one of those teams is sinking like an anchor, and it's just not a good trend to be on. You know, he hit the reset switch. He had a little bit of a panic. He wiped out his team, took a page out of the J-Rod book. You know, so we'll see where that move where it gets him. It's a little early to pull the panic button after a week 1 loss, but hey, each to each their own. He can do what he wants. Worked from last year. We'll see if it works out this year. As far as for Moto, you know, the biggest thing with Moto's team, just poor managerial skills. I mean, he left approximately 40 points on the bench last week. Could have had the win going against Rogers if he had just played the right guys. Didn't get it done. You know, that's why he's just proven himself to be the Grigson of the league. Just can't get it done. Just horrible skills. Not picking his star players. Depressing the value of his team. Just not looking good for him either. So now after I say all these things, you're probably wondering, how could this possibly be the game of the week? Well, it's the game of the week because I'm dubbing this game of the week the Battle for Finley. Going up against Jake Wingus versus Moto's Unborn. I would love to see the Vegas line and taking the bets on who's the one that gets in there first. You know, that's why it's the game of the week. The Battle for Finley. Keep your televisions on, get your popcorn ready, and let's have a great week too, everybody. Good luck to all the teams, and be back here again for the Week 3 preview next week. And now, the game we've all been waiting to talk about. That, of course, the KML.